Our province started with a culture of experimentation. So before we had policy, before we had guidelines, before we had regulation, we were looking at experiments where we tried different things. So we used blog, we used YouTube, we used Flickr during the Olympics in particular. And then in and around all of that, we were building the policy. We created regulation. And then we created a training and support model for employees so that they felt comfortable with being able to ask questions and plan and understand for the use of social media. They weren't kind of left on their own. So that was a really important component. And so when the guidelines were finally released on November 4th of 2010, it was like, for me, a Sidney Crosby moment. It was like jumped up, and I was so blown away that it had happened. It had taken a while. So our team calls that our Sidney Crosby moment. Our leadership was probably more open and more progressive on the themes of the guidelines, around trusting employees, around giving them tools and giving them support. We probably started off sort of more conservative as employees working on the guidelines, and they really pushed us to make the guidelines friendly, allow people to experiment, allow people to try things. So it was actually the leadership that was pushing a lot of the flexibility, almost more so than the writers of the policy were. A lot of the social media we've done has been what I would consider to be outreach and not necessarily always a two-way dialogue. Our experiment with using a blog definitely challenged us in terms of capturing, in terms of taking that information. I think what you have to do is do it in stages. So you have to take information, condense it, come up with, sort of summarize it, theme it, and then present it back to citizens in terms of, these are your options, this is what we heard from you. So capturing is definitely hard, and finding the right tool dependent on the social media you're using to be able to capture that is a challenge, and we haven't solved it. We just are almost doing it manually, like we're just working on all different solutions and tools to do that, but it is the most important part, is being able to capture the citizens' conversation and the input that they're giving you. I think the biggest error is just doing a knee-jerk reaction to the tools and just really, doing it because it is cool, or it is what people interpret to be the in thing to do. And you really have to go about thinking and planning. And I say all the time, you have to actually develop a long-term content strategy. Actually, people know what they want to post on Facebook today and probably on Friday, but they haven't at all thought about what is going to be up there in 2 or 3 months. And so to get engagement, to get people to your page, you actually have to think about it over the long term. And so I don't think enough people do that. I think they just want to do the tool because they see their competitors or they see other people in the arena, and they don't know what it is exactly they're trying to accomplish. I hope that we get experience using all different tools to do all different things, to be able to figure out what works and what doesn't work. I think it'll be interesting because in 3 years, the audience may be using some of the tools. Some of the tools may not be around that we're using now. There may be new tools. So like 3 years ago, I don't think I'd heard of Twitter before. So part of it is very, very difficult to predict. But at the same time, I just hope that we keep using and keep trying things for the right reasons so that we can get more experience and then from there be able to share what we're learning, like across our own organization but with others too, because I was demonstrating the Twitter module, and there's some big gaps in there, things that we don't know, but I'm sure there's someone else out there who knows that stuff, and so I would love to be able to get someone to help us write some of those pieces that know more. So really for me, it's about crowdsourcing knowledge. Like, I don't know everything about this, but I hope that other people will be willing to help.